Hi there. Let us see on how to apply Agentic AI to demand forecasting. Let us start with a scenario of a demand planner by the name of Maria. So Maria is responsible for making demand forecasts for her company, which is into retail goods. So she uses a spreadsheet every Monday to build the forecast for the next quarters. And she uses last quarter forecast, as well as she uses some intuition in order to come out what could be the future demand for the products. Now this forecast is then subjected to approval. People look into it, and after 3 days, the forecast is approved. But then the reality strikes in. After the forecast has been made, the actual demand is completely different from the forecast. And then Maria and her team has to restart the complete process again. So you can see that this manual process is not going to work quite well if your demand is completely different from what the forecast you have made. Let us see one of the situations where this manual process is not going to work. So let's say this company is also making some marketing TikTok videos, and one of the TikTok videos for one of the product is gone viral. So the demand for this particular product is also completely different and too much higher compared to the forecast which was made. And because of this, the inventory is out of stock, because you did not plan sufficiently for the inventory because you made a forecast which was quite less. So the shelves are empty, and to make the matters worse, the competition is winning. All the competitors are also supplying the same product, but because you do not have it in your inventory, nobody is going to buy from you, and everybody is going to go to the competitor's website. So now you have your CFO who is asking that, okay, why didn't we see this coming? So if you have to translate that question into simple English, the leadership no longer wants some kind of better spreadsheet, but they would like to have a forecasting system that can react and act in real time. So there are multiple solutions to this. So first of all, Maria can go for a forecasting solution, a SaaS solution. Now the problem is that all these off-the-shelf forecasting platforms are just going to work on generic forecasting algorithms, but they are not going to take into account your unique business patterns. You can also have a custom model built by your data scientist. But the problem is that a data scientist model is just a model. It is not going to make some reasoning. So it is not going to, let's say, deviate based on the actual demand which is occurring. So it doesn't reason. It is good for stable demand, but when things go wrong, when your demand is quite variable, it is not going to reason and come out with an alternative solution. So what you need, in fact, is an agentic system. So this agentic system is going to continuously check itself, and then it is going to refine itself based on the actual situation which is happening. And this agentic system also replaces a lot of human manual work using reasoning logic, and it is also going to make some decisions automatically which are generally made manually by humans. So here you need multiple agents. You need an agent which is going to fetch the data. You need an agent which is going to make the forecast. And then you have an agent which is going to review the forecast. And then if the confidence is high, in that case, the agentic system gives an okay to the forecast. Otherwise, it is going to either refine the algorithm, or it is also going to escalate to human if the forecasting confidence is too low. So as you can see that here we are automating many of the manual steps using AI agents. At the same time, agentic systems also uses the power of reasoning using large language models, so it can decide on what needs to be done at every step. Now let me show you on how to code such an agentic solution for forecasting using Python, and we are going to use LangGraph package for that. So this is a Python Jupyter notebook, and here you have to install various packages, and here we are using this package called as LangGraph, as well as we are also going to use the OpenAI large language model. Of course, you have to supply the OpenAI key. And here I'm generating some random dummy data. Of course, You can also link this to various data sources such as external websites such as your TikTok channel or YouTube channel, so that you have a true image of what is your actual demand. Now, you also need to create a shared state which is going to be used for all the agents to communicate amongst themselves, so that the whole agentic system can react based on the actual situation which is happening. Now here is your fetch agent, which is basically reading the data. So here I've just kept it quite simple, but here you can ensure that your data is read from various sources. Could be your website, could be your past sales, or could be also your digital channels such as YouTube channel or, for example, TikTok channel. Now here comes a very interesting part, which is forecasting. So forecasting algorithm, there are various forecasting algorithms, and if you are doing a data science, a classic data science process, generally you will use just one data science algorithm. But here we are going to use the power of reasoning, which is going to check what is the logs which has been generated using various agents, and then based on that, it is going to decide on what model has to be selected. So for example, if in the log it finds words such as nonlinear or complex, in that case, it can go for some algorithms such as moving average, or for example, it can also take a decision if, for example, if there is a spike. In that case, it also needs to do some smoothing. And it can also see if there are words like trend and seasonality which are occurring in the logs. In that case, you can use an algorithm called as Prophet, which is very powerful algorithm if you have seasonality in your demand. Now, once the forecast has been made, you can then also send it to a large language model. You can say that you are a senior forecasting analyst, and this was the type of model which was used. This is the actual sales, this is the forecast sales. Compare both of them and then come out with the quality of the forecast, or for example, come out with the risk or mismatches. And you also can validate if the right model was used or not. So all these logs will be again returned in the shared state, and based on that, the agentic system is going to take a decision that should it rerun the forecast based on some other algorithms or some other techniques. So this is pretty powerful because all these decisions are generally taken by data scientists or human, but here you are kind of automating these decisions. Now, you can also have a review agent. So the review agent is basically going to look into all the different forecasts as well as logs, and it is going to come out with a confidence score. Now, this confidence score is then going to be used by the decision agent. So the decision agent is then going to say that if the score is less than 0.5, in that case, yes, you should escalate it to human. If the score is around 0.7, you can rerun with the new data. You might need to look into various other channels, could be some channels which we have not considered, or for example, you should rerun with a different algorithm. If it is around 0.8, in that case, there is a partial approval. If it is above, then the complete forecast is approved. So you can see that there is also reasoning here built in, which is generally done by humans manually, but here we are kind of automating it with agents. Now you can connect all these different agents using LangGraph, and basically you have to declare each agent as a node. You have to connect all the agents using edges, and here you'll see also a graph which kind of shows on how this agentic process would work. So you first of all fetch the data, you make a forecast, you review it, you decide whether you need to rerun or you kind of have to approve the particular forecasting process. So you can see that this is a very powerful way. It is a very modern way. If you want to make forecasting, it replaces a lot of human judgment as well as human activity using agentic processes, using large language models, and this is quite powerful. It is going to help you to come out with forecasts which reflect the reality, as well as you are also going to make this decision continuously. It is forecasting is not going to be just a monthly process, but it is going to be a cyclic process where agents are going to automatically decide if they have to rerun a forecast or not. So it is much more dynamic, and it is much more suitable if your company has got various demands which are quite fluctuating, and if you are in a kind of a dynamic competitive market. So thanks for watching. If you like the video, please do subscribe to the channel, and also leave a comment that in what cases you are going to use agentic solutions for making forecasting. Thanks for watching. Goodbye, and see you in the next video.